Okay, so the cops are still here. I mean, there were a bunch of sirens 20 minutes ago. And so the cops are still here. Oh, great. Now there's like a ambulance. There's that creep, Robert McLean, also known as Swayze, who's always sitting on that corner. He's a malignant, disgusting creep. He's always sitting on that stoop right there. He's been telling people in this area, not just in the building complex, but in the area, that I'm a hooker for like 9 years, and he knows absolutely nothing about me. Certainly not a hooker. I don't date men. Haven't dated men since like 2013. Don't date anybody, really, because I have no interest, and I'm certainly not a hooker. He has no clue that I've worked as a research scientist for 18 of the last 24 years, and for the last 5 years as a customer service representative and retail supervisor in training and clinician for learning processes companies, and as a market research associate. So he has no clue what he's talking about. But he's a disgusting creep who likes to tell all the sex offenders in this building that I'm a prostitute. Anyway, he's always sitting on that corner right there. And now there's an ambulance and police car. Never a dull moment around here. And screaming people on the corner. I forgot to mention the screaming people on the corner. Just going to point it over there because those are the people that have been screaming out on this corner and on the street like all night. They were screaming at like 6:30 this morning, running up and down the street, shouting and threatening each other with violence. Yeah, it's too bad because it's such a gorgeous day. Okie dokie. Oh, hi. Look, a third police vehicle. This is interesting. So now we've got 2 police vehicles, an ambulance, and screaming, shouting creeps on the corner. Yeah, that was my phone alarm. Okey-dokey. I mean, the sirens are just below my window, so I'm kind of just disrupted at this time with what I was going to do, which was relaxing on my bed watching a movie. Now I can't do that because there's all this weird agitation going on right below my windows, out on the street. Oh, there's that creep again, always sitting there. That must be part of the group that was screaming and shouting on the corner all morning and all evening. They like to just stand on that corner and just literally scream and shout for hours and get drunk in public. And then other people have to call the cops because they're being aggressive and violent and disruptive. Yeah, all right, enough of that. That's my neighborhood, that's my corner, that's the type of people who live in this building complex. That's the type of craziness that anybody who lives in this area has to deal with in this corner right here because of the type of really disturbed people that the management company decides to rent to, for the most part. Not all of them. I mean, I've lived here for 10 years and I'm certainly not a drug user or a drinker or a partier or a disruptor in any way. I mind my own business and I try to stay away from people. If people want to get in my face about stuff, that's on them. That's not me doing anything to them. But there's constantly dysregulated behavioral issues with the people who live in this building complex. And you can see it just with the number of police cars that have had to show up over the last 24 hours. This is like the 6th or 7th police vehicle I've seen right below my windows. And since last night at about 11 p.m. when I came home to the building, and there were literally hordes of screaming, shouting, violent residents out on the street behind the building, shouting out on these corners right here. I have videos of that. And now there's 2 police cruisers. It just doesn't stop. It's crazy. And this is actually a decent area. I mean, there's a beautiful house across the street with a normal family living in it. There are other normal, residents on the street. It's just this building complex right here that the Greenville group rents to. They rent to some people with severe behavioral problems, mental health issues, criminal records, prison histories. I mean, half of these people have been in jail. And then they look at me and think that I'm a prostitute, and they tell the police that I use drugs. Yeah, hardly. I can't remember the last time I smoked marijuana. It must have been in the 90s. I haven't used like an actual drug since the 90s, and I was, in my 20s. I've seen others screaming and shouting again. Just wondering why they're always standing on that corner right there. Creepville. Yeah, see, what was I saying about Creepville? Yeah. The screaming and shouting is starting again, and there's 2 cop cars right there. I call it Creepville. It deserves that name. It's very fitting at this point, I think. The Creepville group.